for you to build out your lab and you are wondering, well, how do I do this? Or what type of virtualization platform should I use? So I'm going to go ahead and help you out with showing you a few different um, hypervisors that you can use to actually build your home lab. So we're going to work on VirtualBox, which is one of the platforms. We're going to also cover Hyper-V in one of our videos. And then also, we will go over VMware, how to find it, because VMware has changed. It's now owned by Broadcom. Not sure if it's entirely owned by them, but I know the links have been changed for Broadcom. So those are the basically the top three. If you're interested in Proxmox, I'll probably do a video on Proxmox as well. And because those are normally the four that I use whenever we're building out. There's other such out there like EXXI, but that's for more enterprise level. If you're doing a home lab just for a home, um, and it's very small, I don't really recommend EXXI because it's a type 1 visor that you got to load on the blade and it requires a license and all that stuff. And then there's others out there too that do require license. So it just really depends on what you want to build. If you are interested in seeing those though, let me know and I will potentially work on videos to help you out if you don't know how to build those out. But if you're on the EXXI model working on enterprise, I would assume that you already know how virtualization works. Okay, so without further ado, the first one we're going to work on today is VirtualBox. So this is how you'll find it. If you are on your machine, for example, here, and this is a Windows 11 box, how can we check? We just go ahead and go in and we're going to type in system and look at it real quick. So you want to make sure that you have a few things that are needed. So this is actually not a VMware. This is actually a physical machine that I'm logged into. So total RAM, I got 64 gigs here, which is quite enough if you're going to be doing virtualization. I think this is something that is very important that you need to make sure you have at least enough RAM to host because you're going to be using the physical resources, RAM, CPU, and storage. So RAM 64 gigs, ideal 32 will work, but if you got more than at least 16 gigs, you should be fine. Now, the only thing that this machine will suffer from is processor. As you can see, it's an i7-7600. However, I only have 2 cores and 4 logical processor. So in technicality, I probably could run 2 solid VMs on here without suffering. I can give it 1 processor on 1 core each, and they will to potentially work. But anything after this, you want a bigger processor. So this machine is great for virtualization, but for something small. So if you have a machine like this at home, and even though you upgrade the RAM, you need to pay attention also to the processor because you need a processor that has more cores, both logical and physical. Okay, so that is very important. So even though you upgrade the RAM, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll have enough processor for it to work. And then the next thing, obviously, is storage. So if you go here and take a look, File Explorer, look on the inside of your C drive, you want to see how much space you have. So I have 930 gigs. So this is actually enough because you only need about 80 gigs, 64 recommended basically, but about 80 gigs per box. So if I'm going to be storing my virtual machines on this box, like I said, this will be able to run about a good 2 VMs, and I shouldn't suffer that much. Okay, so even if I did 2 VMs and I gave them 8 gigs each of RAM, it should be fast enough to run what one processor is, and you can use this to actually test a few things. So we are going to fire a virtual box, and I'll show you how to get it right now and how we would configure or and set up your lab with VirtualBox. So go to the internet real quick, and there's a few things that we need to do. We are going to go to Windows 11 ISO download, And as you can see on the Microsoft site, you can go ahead and click the first one that you see. Make sure that it's a legit Microsoft site so that you are not getting a bootleg copy. Because Windows, you can get a solid copy, no bootleg, and it will work. Microsoft has the ability to give you 180 days of any of the iOS's, not the iOS, any of the ISOs, the images, for you to try and see how it will work with your environment. So right here, I'm going to download Windows 11. This is the latest version as of today. We are working with the 24H2 right there. So we're just going to go ahead and click download to start with the installation, and it will run. But for us, we want to create an installation media, right? So that we can have the ISO. So we're just going to go ahead and download right here, and that will help you to create the installation media. Now, if you want to do the ISOs, for example, then you can go ahead and do the Windows 11 multi-edition, and then you can confirm. It will give you the ability to choose your region. So we go international, USA. And then now from here, you can check the hash table to verify that it is actually a solid. So the hash code will actually show you that the ISO that you're downloading is actually legit. And then you can download 64-bit version here, and it's going to go ahead and download. So now I have Windows 11 downloading that we're going to use to test our first image. Now, the next one you're going to need for your lab, if you're using the same features, if you're going to even follow my lab, this is how you would download Windows Server. So same thing, you just change Windows 11, just do Windows Server, and we can just do 2025, which is the latest version as of today. Go back to the Evaluation Center, and then also download here. So when you get here, you'll choose your language the same way, ISO. It will take you to the part where you have to register sometimes. So all you have to do is just fill out on the right hand side, it will show you how to register. And you'll just have to fill it out and get there. But if you happen to get here where it just allow you to download, you just got to click this. And as you can see, both of these are downloading on their own, and we should be good to go. I chose to download these first because we need them before we start working with VirtualBox. So this is the best way to get the ISOs first so that you can work. Okay, so now we're going to go and search for VirtualBox. Same thing. Oracle VirtualBox right here. And then now you want to download. So go to the top and click download. Right. And pick your host. We are on a Windows host, but you can also download VirtualBox on different platforms as well. So once you're on a Windows host, we're going to click that right here. And then now it's going to also download VirtualBox, which is a faster download than the other two. Once this is complete, we are going to go ahead now and install the VirtualBox platform. Let's go ahead and open that real quick. Go ahead and click yes. If this prompts you that it needs Microsoft Visual C redistribution, please install and restart. That means you'll just need to download Microsoft C++ 2019 redistribution. So let's go back to the web, and we're going to go look for Microsoft Visual 2019 redistribution. Okay, there you go. And it should be this one that you're looking for. So Visual C++ redistribute. and you're looking for the latest package. So make sure that you know that your system is a 64-bit or whatever. This should be 2013, so we're just going to look for the latest one. These are the older models that are not being used, so 2012, 2013, and then this looks like x64. So this seems to look like the latest version. So we'll just go ahead and install this. See if it works, because it says C++ 2015 to 2022 redistribute, and it's looking for 2019. So let's go ahead and install this first. And it looks like it was successful. So this was looking for 2019. Okay, so let's close that out. And now let's go back and try to install it from our downloads. We're looking for VirtualBox, see if it takes it. Okay, we didn't get prompt this time, so let's go ahead and click next. I accept, click next. Accept the default. Basically, it's just where telling you where it's going to store all this stuff. Click next. It's going to tell you the networking features, all that good stuff. Proceed with installation. Click yes. And then it's just telling you that it's missing a few Python dependencies and so forth. Click with installation. You can select yes for those. Install here. And then we're just going to wait for this to run through. It doesn't really take a long time for a VirtualBox to install. So as you can see, it's a fairly fast install right there. And then it's pretty much complete. Start VirtualBox 7 or 1.0. So we'll go ahead and click finish. And now that we are here, so we can go ahead and now work. Your version may be a little bit different depending on when and how late the version is. So just pay attention to that. But for the main portion, all of these should be roughly the same. So we're going to click on new because we're going to build a new virtual machine. So the first one we wanted to do is our server, right? So just bear in mind, this is where we're storing all our virtual machines. The ISO we're going to select is here. So we're going to go to browse, and then we're going to go to downloads. And remember, we did this one first. And then this was Windows Server 2025. Okay. We want to go with the data center and the desktop experience. It is very important that you select the right version, because I pointed out this in my other videos. If you do the ones that are not with the desktop experience, then you'll need to have PowerShell to configure these if you're not used to it yet. And if this is your first time doing this, then you may run into a little problems. So make sure you select the one with the desktop experience. Okay. So this should not be Windows Server 2022 that it picked up, and this should be basically picking up Windows 25. So for this one, we can potentially change this if we cancel. If you don't like it and you go back to new machine, you can select the version that you're trying to install first, which is Windows Server 2025. That's the version that needs to show. That's what we're going to find. So that's there you go, Windows Server 2025. That's what we're installing. It's a Windows And then now you can search for the ISO to match it up. So don't know why it chooses this again. Probably something that's going on, but it's not the 2022. But anyways, shouldn't matter. This is the host name. Product key doesn't really matter. And then from here, you can type in a password that you want to use. Okay. Once this is ready to go, product key you don't really need. Host name, we can make sure that this is I'm guessing it doesn't like the host name here, so that should fix it. And then if this is good to go, right here, you can click next. Just note though, this is an unintended guest OS install setup. So this is just one way that you can create this. Click next, and then you can select the amount of RAM. So like right here, we can start off with the base of and then like I said, we only have 4 CPUs, so one is fine. You don't want to go apart from this. This is your red zone. So if you go past this, then this is where your system will become critical at a critical state. Okay. So let's go ahead and click next. Virtual hard disk. You want to get at least this. I would say at least 100 should be fine. So 100 is good. And then click next. This is basically what's going to happen right here. And then we can click finish. Now that you've started this right here, there's not enough memory available to create a RAM disk on this device. That is not true, but we can fix this. Just go to system. Okay, so it's 8 megabytes. We need to change this. So let's go to memory. Yes, and we want to give this enough RAM. So 4096 is the amount of RAM we need. That limits the minimum to start this. My apologies. Now let's go back and start this VM. And there you go. It's loaded now. Your Windows Server 2025 is loading, and you should be now rock solid having this box fired up. Now, if you're watching this and you're using this to join my labs, these are the states that we start from. So you just want to make sure that this goes all the way through so that you can have this to start the labs that I provided to you. Now, the second portion of this is doing the same thing, but then you're going to be creating a new similar pattern, but this is going to be Windows 11. So let's call this Windows Win 11, right? And we're going to select the ISO for this one, Windows 11 as well. You can skip unintended install on this one, right? Go through and select the hardware, similar. The CPUs for this is going to be 1. Don't need to use 2. Everything else should be fine. Click finish. So when you look at this now, Windows 11, 4 gigs at least. The memory is fine. At least 80 gigs of RAM. 80 gigs of storage. It's recommended at least 64, so you should be fine. I think between 62 and 64. And you should be good to go. So you can potentially now start also this VM as well to run for you. Pressing the key to boot from CD. And now you have your 2 VMs side by side that you can actually use for the lab. So this VM right here is your Windows server, and then this one will be your Windows 11 that you'll need to configure. So let's go ahead and now work on this one. First thing you want to do, like I always show you, when you get to your partition, you can format this or you can delete it. So we can just go ahead and format this partition to make sure that it's clean. And then once it's formatted and it looks good, right here, you can click next. You can also try to delete the partition itself. And then once it's deleted, the unallocated space will clean. And then the proper way is to create a partition so that Windows can create the 3 necessary system drives that it needs in case you need to do recovery. I showed this to you before in one of the videos. So there you go. So you have the 2. You have a partition 1 that it uses for system recovery, and then now you can install Windows Server on this one. So just go ahead and click next. Since we did this as an unattended, it's going to go ahead and run itself. You don't really need much. So for this box, since this was not unattended, we're going to just go ahead and click next over here to accept the default. Next on this one, I agree. Click next. And the funny thing with Windows 11, if your system does not support it, it's going to give you an error letting you know that you can't install Windows on this box. So if you have a Windows 11 system, you should be okay to just continue doing everything that I'm doing. This system is compatible to run Windows 11, so that's why we're using it. Windows 11 Pro, that's what you want to select. Go ahead and click next to start. And there you go. System doesn't provide you all that necessary stuff. That's what we'll get. And there's fixes for this because this is a Windows 11 box, but I think we need to turn on virtualization and so forth. And this will just be properly another video to fix this. But for the time being, this is going to install. So let's pause here and then we'll wait for it to start. If you're following along when it restarts, you'll notice that we selected the wrong, and this is a good thing that we did this. As you see, this is the standard evaluation right here. So that means this does not have the GUI interface. So if you know how to configure this, this will just be all PowerShell. And this is what I was talking about, making sure that you select the right one. So we can go ahead and close this, power it off if you choose to. But just make sure that the Windows server that you're building is supposed to be selected as the right one. So let's go ahead and do one real quick. We're going to do new, and it's going to be Windows Server 2025. And I'm going to do when SVR 2501. And let's go ahead and search for the box itself. 2025. We're going to skip this right here, unattended, so that we can get to select the right one that we need. And then let's click finish. So now with the new one, we need to edit the base RAM. So let's go ahead and make sure that this as at least 4 gigs. And that should be fine. And then let's go ahead and start this one up. So this was the very first one we did, but it's a Versa. This is actually a server core. So now let's fire up the real server that we need, which would be server with the GUI version. And that's what I said. If you don't select the right one, it will take off and install the wrong version for you. So now we're back here again. You select next here, next, you agree. And then on screen, you should see now the version that you want to select. This is without the unattended version so that you're selecting the right server evaluation for it to install. Click next. Accept the default. Right here, we just create a partition, apply. And once this is ready, you click next to start. Then it's going to just ask you to confirm, and then you're going to install. And we will be right back with the actual version that it should look like when you start the labs. All right, so once your system has been finished installed, this is what your server will look like. And then now you can start your um, home lab by just entering the password and then begin from here. And there you have it. So this will bring you back to the same screen that you saw with where I started the labs, right? And then here it will just apply, then you'll have to log in, and then here you go. So this is the starting point of my labs, okay? Thank you so much for watching this intro to VirtualBox. Don't worry about the Windows 11 PC. We'll do a video to fix that one later. But if you're starting off your labs, trying to get Windows Server to be installed on the virtual box, this is the setup. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell button so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Find us on Facebook too and also on Instagram. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you later.